It is a time when magic is more.
Wild cartoons, exciting toy lines, and action-packed comics. That's what ruled our childhoods in the 1980s. Some of the very best cartoons weren't afraid to go out there creatively. The ones that failed still left their mark in our heart, even if they couldn't with the networks. They were each their own little portal into exciting new worlds where anything and everything was possible. Some of them only failed because they were way ahead of their time. And you know what? They deserve a second chance to wow today's audiences. Loosely based on the famous tabletop fantasy game, 1983's Dungeons & Dragons aired on CBS and was co-produced by Marvel Productions and TSR and animated by Japan's Toei Animation. The show saw 6 kids take an actual roller coaster ride into a magical realm filled with danger and dragons. Granted powers by the Dungeon Master, the kids set off on an epic adventure to protect the realm from the evil wizard Venger. Remember how terrifying that guy was? And find a way back to their world. The show ran for 3 seasons and ended pretty abruptly with a cancellation due to issues with Marvel and D&D's parent company, TSR. There was also the fact that, while audiences clearly enjoyed the show, the violence and mature themes just didn't sit well with the broadcast standards and practices or certain parents at the time. Thanks to series writer Michael Reeves, we know the final, unproduced episode would have had the season end on a cliffhanger in which the kids decide whether to return home or finally rid the realm of Venger once and for all. Audiences are ready now for D&D to return. The tabletop game has exploded in popularity in recent years thanks to shows like Stranger Things or video games like Baldur's Gate 3. Marvel appears to be doing well, and D&D is now owned by Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. On top of that, none of the criticisms of the old show stand up anymore. Too violent? Please. Have you seen what's on nowadays? It's time the Forgotten Realms bring this forgotten show back from the past to show kids what D&D is all about. If you blinked back in 1987, you probably missed Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light, since it only ran for 13 episodes. It was based on a line of action figures and vehicles by Hasbro and was the first of such shows that Hasbro didn't partner with Marvel to produce. The show was set in a dystopian world called Prismos, in which technology had been eliminated and replaced by magic. In this world, the Spectral Knights were among the few who chose to dedicate their lives to the fight for good and to fight against the selfishness of the Darkling Lords. Each Spectral Knight and Darkling Lord had their own totem animal and cool magical staffs, which gifted them with a variety of magical abilities activated by incantations they could utter once before their staves or vehicles needed to be replenished. The Knights were led by Leoric, whose totem was a lion. Through his staff, he possessed the power of wisdom. Then there was his right-hand man, Ektar, whose totem was a fox. He possessed the power of protection. Farrell was the youngest. His totem was a wolf, and he possessed the power of fire. Cryotech, the oldest, had a bear as his totem and possessed the power of strength. Witterquick's totem was a cheetah, and he possessed the power of speed. Arzon wielded the power of knowledge and held an eagle as his totem. Finally, there was Galadria. She was the only female and held a shield instead of a staff, which provided her with the power of healing. She had a dolphin as her totem. It wasn't just imaginative, the animation was top-notch and had some voice acting legends behind it, including Neil Ross and Jim Cummings. More importantly, it was the kind of creative fantasy series that television today is yearning for. It's not clear why it was canceled after just a few episodes, but we know someone needs to bring Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light, back to screens. We're betting this is one show that was way ahead of its time. Speaking of shows that were way out there, do you remember ABC's Turbo Teen? It was about a young teen who turned into a race car when he got hot and back into good old Brett Matthews when he got colder. Yeah, it was weird. It was also awesome. Where else would you see a teen like Brett spinning right out of his high school, glowing up and transforming into a red convertible, all while throwing out those radical 80s dance moves? His adventures weren't high stakes, they were hilarious. We need more hilarity on modern TV. We're not saying Turbo Teen needs to zoom back onto screens for a full series. After all, its original run was only 13 episodes, but a comical limited series? A ludicrous TV special or two? Yes, please. Give us more Turbo Teen. Before writer and director Chris Columbus gave us family-friendly gems like Mrs. Doubtfire, Home Alone, or the first two Harry Potter films, he created the 1986 American-Japanese animated show Galaxy High School on CBS. The show took place on the fictional asteroid Fluter and revolved around two human teens, the bright but shy Amy Brighthour and the popular jock Doyle Cleverlobe. Galaxy High School saw the pair accepted into an intergalactic high school where they find that their roles have somehow been reversed. Their aliens classmates loved Amy but hated Doyle. Luckily for Doyle, Amy never abandoned him and remained his friend throughout the show. The show ran for just 13 episodes, but it took a while before Columbus gave up on it. For good reason. Halfway into the 90s, there were discussions about a Galaxy High School film, but it remains in limbo to this day. Television may have moved on from the show, but we think it's time for a comeback. It was smart, funny, full of heart, and the kind of show that would resonate hard with fans of shows like Rick and Morty. With 1987's Spiral Zone, we get a little darker and a lot cooler. This was a show that didn't bother pulling any punches. It was bleak, sci-fi heavy, and had one of the most dystopian setups of the decade. It also had one heck of a catchy theme song. The show brought viewers to 2007, that's right, the future, when a mad scientist by the name of Dr. James Bent trapped millions of people in his literally twisted spiral zone, where their very will was sapped from them by a specially designed mist, allowing the doctor to control them all. It was up to 5 soldiers, each from a different country and equipped with combat suits made from the incredibly rare material, Neutron-90, to free the people of the Spiral Zone. There was Colonel Dirk Courage and Second Lieutenant Max Jones from the United States, Master Sergeant Tank Schmidt from West Germany. Yeah, remember when that was a thing? Lieutenant Hirotaka from Japan, and Corporal Katerina Anastasia from the Soviet Union. Together they were Spiral Force. Animated by Japanese studio Visual 80 and South Korean studio AKOM, Spiral Zone ran for a single season and 65 episodes. There isn't one clear reason why the show failed to gain traction. It could be because it was on early in the morning on weekdays. It could be because the toys didn't sell well. What we do know is that this show had themes that are still shockingly relevant today. Biowarfare, totalitarianism, and tech run amok. This would be a perfect show to bring back for kids today, to help them navigate an increasingly complicated world. Lastly, we've got Bionic Six, created by Ron Friedman. This forgotten treasure from 1987 combined family dynamics with superhero action. For those who might not have been around yet to enjoy the show, it was basically Fantastic Four meets The Incredibles, but with more robots, lasers, and 80s tech. The show followed the Bennett family, granted powers by the genius Dr. Amadeus Sharp. There was Jack Bennett, a secret agent known to the world only as Bionic One. He was armed with bionic eyes that gave him X-ray vision and energy blasts. Then there was his wife, Helen Bennett, aka Mother One-O, a master marine biologist able to see into the future and read minds. If that wasn't enough, she was also a highly capable fighter. Eric Bennett, their son, also went by the name Sport One. He had the ability to wield electromagnetic forces to manipulate metal objects. His younger sister, Meg Bennett, aka Rock One, was armed with shoulder-mounted sonic blasters when she entered bionic mode. But those weren't the only kids in this family. Jack and Helen had 2 adopted kids. James Dwight, J.D. Corey, who went by the name IQ, was gifted with a superhuman intellect. Then there was Bunjiro Bunji Tsukahara, also known as Karate One. Bunjiro was a highly skilled martial artist, whose abilities were enhanced by his bionic abilities. Yes, it was a lot of superpowered battles, outrageous characters like the family's pet gorilla robot, but what made the Bionic Six special was its multiracial blended family with real emotional depth. This cartoon gave us the modern family before the rest of TV was ready to accept it. That was the real fight. It wasn't supervillains like the monocled Dr. Scarab they were fighting. Their real struggle was learning how to be a family. The animation, done by Japanese studio TMS Entertainment, was stellar, and the writing had some surprisingly rich emotional beats. In a time when audiences are craving heart in television shows and cartoons, Bionic Six seems like a massive comeback, just waiting to happen. Which forgotten 80s cartoon do you think needs a comeback? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to make like Turbo Teen and crash your mouse into that like button. If you're all about celebrating those classic mind-blowing stories, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more retro goodness.